Art is a legitimate contribution of the artist, even if it offends.
And public criticism of that offending art is also a part of art.
The American Religious Town Hall meeting is now in session.
Welcome, friends, to the American Religious Town Hall meeting, where the discussion of religious, political, and social issues is meant to promote the cause of religious freedom and to help us better understand each other. And now, here's your host and moderator, Pastor Jerry Lutz.
Thank you so much for joining us for today's program. We look forward to this discussion. Glad you've tuned in. You haven't met all of our panelists yet, and so I'd like for you to do so at this time. Let's begin with the gentleman to my right. We're going to ask everyone to state their name and tell us a little bit about what they do.
My name is Bishop Michael Olson, and I am the Bishop of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Fort Worth, Texas.
Hi, I'm Tony Matthews, and I serve as Senior Pastor at North Garland Baptist Fellowship in Garland, Texas.
Hi, I'm Carl Troval. I'm the Richard J. Dinda Professor of Lutheran Identity and Mission at Concordia University in Austin, Texas.
My name is Canon John Peterson. I am an Episcopal priest, and I'm canonically resident in the Diocese of Washington, District of Columbia.
My name is Andrea Luxton. I'm president of Andrews University in Berrien Springs, Michigan, which is affiliated with the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
And I am Mel Robeck. I'm Senior Professor of Church History and Ecumenics and Special Assistant to the President for Ecumenical Relations at Fuller Theological Seminary in Pasadena, California. I am also an ordained minister with the Assemblies of God.
Well, thank you each one for being here today. We're looking forward to this discussion. We've touched on this subject in other programs. We're going to get into it from another perspective today, as you will see, as you've already heard in the openers today. But let's get right to our program, shall we? Recently, the renowned muralist Bo Stanton completed an art project on the wall of the Robert F. Kennedy High School Gymnasium in Los Angeles, Koreatown. It featured the profile of actress and singer Ava Gardner, who used to perform at the nearby Coconut Grove. Overlapping her profile are a few coconut palms with a monkey. The background is a series of rays in blue and orange, against which Gardner's profile stands out clearly. Many people like the mural, but many within the Korean American community view it as offensive, claiming that the rays reminded them of Japan's image of the rising sun used during World War II. They argue that it is as offensive as a swastika painted on a Jewish building or a cross burned on an African American lawn. One even called for it to be labeled a hate crime. Mr. Stanton claimed that many of his murals have similar rays and denies that he had Japan in mind when he painted them. The school district is debating its removal. Another artist, Shepard Fairey, who painted a mural of Robert Kennedy at the school, wishing to stand in solidarity with Bo Stanton, has stated that if Stanton's mural is removed, his will be as well. Well, as you might expect, lawsuits are pending. But I'd like our panelists to discuss this issue with three questions in mind. First of all, what is the purpose of art and what are its limits, especially with regard to freedom of speech and First Amendment rights? Second question, is it possible to honor the intention of the artist and at the same time take seriously the concerns and protests of the Korean American community? And the third question, how would you seek to resolve this issue? That is our subject for today. Let's go back to those who help us to begin the program, and we go back to Dr. Luxton and Dr. Troval. Dr. Luxton, first, tell us a little more about your thoughts on this subject.
Well, my background is literature, and that's another form of art. And when you look at art and you look at literature, you look at music, look at the theatre, and what is going on in those environments. Often you see an artist using the artistic form to explore something that to them is important. Maybe making social commentary, but in a way that raises questions really more than makes statements. And you'll often find, if you look throughout history, that certain artists, certain writers, their work has been banned for certain countries because it has been considered offensive to that country. But in actual fact, what is happening in that art is they are engaging with the public, with society, about certain issues. And it's an important part of what goes on. Now, there are lines, I think, that are drawn that where you've got something that's completely vulgar or completely, there are lines where I think some things cross even with artists. But what I'm saying is that in the normal scheme of things, this is part of how that group communicate and engage society. And I think that is very important to notice. Art is very rarely just representational. This particular situation is slightly different and a little strange in a way. I mean, you have a mural here, you have an artist, and it seems to me that part of the conflict here is that people don't really get what art is, for one thing. The rays here are being taken very literally, and that is not intended in this particular picture. As I look at it, the picture has nothing to do with really Japan or making any statement in that area. It's about something completely different. It is this artist's trademark, and even if you look at the rays of the Japan flag, it's still being used in many ways. It's not like, in my mind, a swastika that was very specifically defined for a particular point in time. That's not really what's going on here. Well, I'll stop there, let other people have some word, but that's kind of my thoughts on how we should look at this.
All right, thank you. Carl, you're the next one to have the next word, so yes.
Yeah, I have to say I actually love these public discussions of art because, and literature, any form of it, because if someone doesn't like something or they like something, it's interesting to ask the question, why? What is it communicating? I mean, it's precisely in the nature of the dialogue over what something is that makes it, I think, an educational piece for everyone. I mean, for example, before this program, I was unaware of this situation, but I have a deeper sensitivity for Korean Americans. The strange thing is I actually, even though I would oppose the removal of this piece, I, at the same time, feel like I am more in solidarity with Korean Americans than I ever have been because this art has provoked something that has asked us to think deeply about a historical period, about the treatment of other people. So it really raises the issue of justice and those kinds of questions. And this is something that I love. And I want to say one other thing is that bad art is always immoral. I heard this line at the Society of Christian Ethics, and I thought, I love that line because it's, to me, what's offensive is that someone creates something that's bad and badly done, and this doesn't reflect the purpose of art, which is to bring the best of human creativity forward for all of us to reflect.
All right, thank you very much. Kenneth Peterson, welcome to the program. Your thoughts on the subject, please.
Well, I've appreciated the responses that we've had from the beginning of the program. I must say that I'm sympathetic to Bo Stanton and his painting that he has done. I'm also sensitive to the fact that the rays are a very common geometric design in painting, and he frequently uses them. But I'm also very sympathetic to what Carl has just said, because this obviously has had a tremendous impact on the Los Angeles Korean community. And they are deeply offended, and they urged that the painting was going to actually be painted over, white off. And it really was not until, what's his name, Shepard Fairey got involved and said, I'm going to take down the painting that I did of Robert Kennedy if you're going to do this. And consequently, a decision was made by the school board in Los Angeles not to do it, not to investigate it further. And what I liked about what Carl was saying is that it gives an opportunity to be able to start having a conversation about that history. about that past. How come they are hurting? How come there is so much pain? For them to be able to look at that mural that represents a horrid time in Korea's history because of the imperialism of Japan. And it seems to me that this gives us the opportunity, or particularly gives that community an opportunity then to work for reconciliation, to start having discussions about this painting. Why is it so offensive? How is it so painful? And to be able to start working through this. So I think it's a great teaching tool if the community is willing to actually have this type of conversation, to come to have a better understanding of the pain on the Korean side, as well as the intentions. And I believe the intentionality of Bo Stanton was absolutely pure. I don't think he had any intention of raising this issue, but it's been raised.
Well, thank you very much. So this was an accidental offense, an unintended offense. And so Bishop Olson, what do we, so he said, well, taking him at his word.
Yeah.
So Bishop Olson, what do we do about this, or is there anything to be done? What do you think?
Well, I think that's a good question, which I won't answer.
Okay, fair enough.
But I think it's very interesting because I agree in so many ways with what Carl has said and what John has said, but those are really kind of modern tenets. All right, that, well, now we discuss this and we have a conversation based in reason, but this is a post-rational understanding of art that's really at stake here. And I go back, you go back in history of Western civilization, all right, and you go back to Plato. And Plato, of course, as he wrote in his Republic, which he wrote in the form of a drama, all right, in a dialogue, so to speak, so as to take the form of poetry or drama at the time, or of art, that there was no room for art in the Republic, all right? Now, of course, he didn't say it. He could always say, I didn't say that. Socrates said it, and he put it in art form. It's a paradox. But what we see in the birth of the philosophers in ancient Greece is, in a sense, the replacement of the poets and the artists as the priests or governing principle of society, right? The interpretation of the divine or of the higher things. And now as, in other words, it's not just divining things, but rather reason can come together, bring us together by how we understand things. And of course, Carl, you've taken an excellent approach to this rational assessment of these things. However, in our society today, narrative is what's driving the form. Whatever story I want to tell, no matter what's true about it or not. And art, in a sense, has not even had, there's not a sense of common appreciation. It's just sort of will to power. It's like whoever's loudest wins, you know? And there's no real rational assessment of this. We decide, well, who are we going to offend and who's not going to be offended? Do we have to apologize, or do we have to say, no, art is triumphant here? And it really ends up being who's the most powerful and who controls the message. And I think that that's the broader issue that's at stake here, because there's an incoherency now at offense. It doesn't say the entire Korean community is offended. It doesn't say that that was intended. It says many in the Korean community, those who are perhaps professional anarchists or who travel around being upset at whatever offense needs to be given in some sense, are doing this. And I think, and that's conveyed to us in a narrative. All right, and so I think that it's reason is at stake, and if reason's at stake, so is our ability to form a coherent community.
So you did answer the question.
I did.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now we've got it straight. All right, Dr. Robeck, welcome to the program.
Well, thank
Your thoughts,
you.
please.
Yeah, I live near LA. I live near Hollywood, and so these are things that I see on a pretty frequent basis. Maybe there are a couple of things, I guess. One of them I just thought of, and I think there is an ascendancy of art in all its forms, especially in Southern California. I mean, that's what drives everybody and everything. And so I think I want to agree with you, Michael, about the way you have viewed this. I would say not only is it there, it's in our churches. so that the churches have now gone from platforms to stages, so that we have entertainment, we have bands, and we have, cheerleaders and, all this kind of stuff that you didn't used to have, You used to have congregational singing, and you used to have the preacher in the middle, and, it's changed. And the arts have brought a lot of that into play. In Koreatown, I think there is a backdrop here, and that is that, I have mentioned in previous show or two that we have a huge homeless problem in Los Angeles. And we have some vacant areas in Koreatown where the city of Los Angeles made a decision they'd like to build homeless shelters here, or not shelters, but housing for homeless people. Well, many of the people say, not in our neighborhood. And you never talked to us in the first place. We should have been part of that conversation. So you've got this anger there about things being brought down from the top. When LA Unified said, here's the piece of art, there were a lot of them, I think, that were looking at the homeless question and saying, here's another place we can lay down the law to the city. We need to be heard rather than jumped on.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that perspective. Interesting. You live nearby.
I do.
Yes, you do. So you probably see it in the papers occasionally.
I see it on the paper a lot.
All right. Thank you very much. And then Dr. Matthews, your take, please.
Interesting conversation, and I'll be very nice. Let me just say it this way. Probe Ministries has a very good article titled The Christian in Arts. And so just taking it in a different direction, I think when we look at architecture, poetry, drama, music and dance, these things are, we see these things in the Bible, and art is a very wonderful thing. Our God is creative. And I think we should all pause in America and just take a deep breath when we see things like this, and we can't be so quick to say that it was designed to defend, or even if I am offended, we need to ask ourselves, why am I offended? I think I'm very sensitive to the people who are hurt by this. But wow, I mean, I'm the only African American on the panel. I could be upset with the moderator for using the word monkey. We were called monkeys, right? Why are you, let's shut down the American religions. Let's protest it for using the word monkey. I was the last person to speak right now, right? Yep. So I could make a big deal out of that. I think we need to pause and say, hey, where do we cut it off? With art, with words, people are making phrases that they have no ill will and intentions to hurt other people. I just think we need to just kind of take a deep breath and be sensitive to people, but at the same time, not this gentleman. If we take him at his word, he said he just had no clue. And I think we need to give people the benefit of the doubt and not, jump on the bandwagon of shut things down and, let's remove items. And it's just, where does it stop? And if we don't put an end to it, no one will be able to say anything or to create anything or to write anything because everyone is offended. That's just where I am.
So you're suggesting hypersensitivity may be at the core, where it may not be intentional.
And this is, I looked at the drawing and wow, I mean, you almost have to be intentionally looking for. Yeah. Something to offend you. And I love our brothers and sisters who are offended. I hope I'm not being too insensitive, but I think we need to be careful and not to go out of the way looking for something to, that's all.
Now, as this relates to freedom of speech, this was this artist's right to express himself in this manner. He did not do this, according to his statement, with intention. So he was called out for something. Apparently, he had no idea. Or yes.
And let me also say that I disagree with the other the artist who said that. Well, hey, I'm going to remove mine. I think he's wrong. Where does this end?
Yes, exactly.
So him weighing and saying, hey, if you take his down, I'm going to you know, take mine away. Come
We
on.
just have a few seconds left. Bishop Olson.
I think this we get down to the human reality that is it art or are we fomenting hatred? And I think that can be clearly, if somebody has a consistent practice in art of offending, you know, in the sense of you're not raising consciousness, you're attacking people.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That'll be the last word for this segment. But thank you so much for tuning in and following along, listening to the program today. There is an announcement I'd like for you to stand by for, and we'll be back in just a few moments.
Thank you, Pastor Lutz. We hope you are enjoying today's program. If you would like to learn more about the American Religious Town Hall, please visit our website at americanreligious.org. That's americanreligious.org. There you can read about the mission and history of the program, learn about the Town Hall estates, and view past programs by clicking the appropriate menu buttons. Each week, Pastor Lutz looks forward to receiving your letters. You may write to him at the address shown on your screen. Send your letters to Pastor Jerry Lutz, American Religious Town Hall Meeting, P.O. Box 180118, Dallas, Texas 75218. That's Pastor Jerry Lutz, American Religious Town Hall Meeting, P.O. Box 180118, Dallas, Texas 75218. Thank you for writing, and thank you for watching. And now, back to you, Pastor Lutz, and today's closing statements.
Thank you, Mark. And I would also encourage you to go to the website, as Mark has suggested. You can find there some archive programs. We've met here before. The panel has been in existence for well over 60 years, nearly 65 years. Well, not these panelists, but the program has been on the air about that long. For now, we're going to go to our summary statements. Let's begin with Bishop Olson.
An artist has a responsibility, I think, to pay attention to what is his or her intention in not depicting something, in forming or making something towards a transcendental of beauty, and not for the intention simply of destroying or hurting.
Thank you very much. Dr. Troval.
I think it's important to realize that in the creation of art, that many people, let's put it this way, you don't have control over what you create. When we write something, when we say something, it's out in the world, and people are going to interpret it in many ways that they want to interpret it, both falsely and badly and wisely.
Right.
And I think that this is another example of that you have someone with good intentions who is trying to honor the community. It ended up offending portions of the community, and I couldn't agree more with Michael about the importance for a kind of thoughtful approach about what the rational intention of all of this was.
All right, thank you. Dr. Luxton, your summation.
I like just to talk about the role of art in our society for a moment here, because I think that we have moved towards an environment which is pragmatic, that is concerned with preparing people to do jobs, and that the whole sense of the understanding of humanities and the role they play in society and what that means, I think, to some degree has been lost. And I think that that is something that we need to make sure, as a society, that is not lost, because it is a vital part of who we are as humans. And I think when that is lost, we can get into these arguments that really, I'm not sure there's anything to do really with the artwork itself.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for those comments. And now down to Dr. Robeck. Your summation, please.
Yeah, I worry a lot about the fact that our American society is in some ways breaking down. That is, we can't find the good in very many people anymore. Almost everything we say gets put through a sieve that's going to look for the bad instead of the good. I really am very empathetic to the Korean community there in Hollywood, but they are in Hollywood. And I am sympathetic also to Bo Stanton, whose trademark in a lot of his paintings, all you have to do is look online and you'll find every place you go, he's got these rays, only for this community, only in this particular situation. is it become offensive, as I understand it. And I do think that it comes on the back of being angry about something else. Our anger in one area is being carried over and over and over into everything we touch.
All right, thank you, Dr. Robeck. Now, Canon Peterson, your summation.
Yes, not living in Los Angeles and having the insights, of course, that Mel has, being from Los Angeles, I'm going to try to pose a little bit different nuance on this. Jennifer Moon, who is an LA-based Korean American, made a good point when she wrote about Stanton's mural. She asked the question, if this is public artwork, which public is it serving? Which public is it serving? What happens when the artwork causes trauma within the community? And I think that those types of questions are important questions, even in Hollywood, to ask.
All right, thank you very much. Now, Dr. Matthews, your summation, please.
Yes, my brothers and sisters who are of the Korean background, descent, God bless you. And I would tell all Americans that if something is intentionally done to harm, we can be outraged, but if there's an accidental offense presented, we should overlook it. And I also encourage all of us to find our self-worth in God, not in paintings or writings, and I think the world would be a better place.
All right. Good thoughts, good counsel. Good discussion around this table today. Thank you very much for being here. We look forward to gathering like this around this table from week to week. We're glad that you tuned in especially. We look forward to our times together. We hope you do too. If you go to the website, you can find some past programs. You can find there discussions we've had in many years gone by. And as I said a little earlier, we've been on this program, or this program has been on the air, the longest running religious program in consecutive years, one after the other, and it is quite remarkable. And the reason for that is because of your viewership. You keep tuning in, so we keep showing up here and doing this. And so we thank you for your support. We thank you for looking at the website. You can learn more about the Town Hall Estates there, a wonderful organization. We'd like for you to become better acquainted with that. So until next time, we want to thank you for coming and joining us today. Invite your friends for the next program as well. We always look forward to having new viewers. The charter of the American Religious Town Hall provides that Roman Catholics, Protestants, Jews, educators, and others may appear on this program and can declare their beliefs without hesitancy. And the rest of the members of the panel will uphold and guarantee that American right to all who will appear, irrespective of race or creed, so that the rest of the world can see that here in America we believe in civil and religious freedom, not only in theory, but in reality. And now, friends, until next week at the same time and over this very same channel, the American Religious Town Hall meeting stands adjourned. And may the God of all of us bless all of you.